lead this movement, and do you fully support the students?
The first candidate to answer will be Mitchell Coburn.
I think my generation and the ones around it have failed our students. And our students have now, from Parkland on, shown us the example of how they can lead. The 11th for Change has shown me, personally, how significant it can be for the community to get involved and make a change. I wouldn't be running if it wasn't for the enthusiasm of the 11th for Change, showing how concerned, qualified citizens can make a difference. We have to take the lead of the students, and we have to continue it. I applaud every student, and I want to say that when I spoke to one of the Parkland students afterwards, what he said was important to all of the other students who were around at the time. And what he said was, they've reached out to only one student in some of the schools, and that one student was able to rally so many of the other students and teachers and administration of that school that that's what's allowing this rally to continue. So I applaud every student from Parkland on, every student in every high school, in every school in this country to continue this fight, because that's the only way we can get it done. We, the people, have to resume our obligation to take back the people's house, the House of Representatives, and that's what I hope to do.
So yes, I fully support the students. I'm so proud of you. And as the mother of two teenage daughters, I couldn't be more inspired by what you're doing. You're a model. And it's something that I tell my daughters every day, that, you know, we don't value voices we don't hear. So the fact that you are using your voice to bring power to this message is powerful. The thing that I would tell you is, in terms of support, is that you are on the front lines now, and part of a wave that has proceeded by, has been sort of engaged by previous generations. So you stand on shoulders. You're not alone in this journey, and I know a lot of this energy and passion and commitment and investment and engagement has come out of trauma and a real fear for your future. And I want to say that we failed you as adults, but I don't believe that, because that's why I'm running for Congress. We're here to be your flank, and the young bloods are going to get it done. But we as adults have to show up in spaces so that as you begin to shape and define the narrative that's powerful for you, we can then help to implement policy to support you around that. So I'm going to leave you with an acronym I give my daughters, which is STEM, right? Whenever you're trying to sort of blossom and grow into something powerful, you have to have a strong STEM, and that is support. You must be supported. You cannot do this by yourself. So you have to embrace each other, you have to stick together, and you have to support one another. T is you have to make sure you know how tenacious you want to be. Because this game that you're playing, especially around gun violence and gun reform, is a long game. It's not a short game. So you're going to get a little bit done, and then you're going to need to bring on others. And then E is making sure that you're getting your emotional support, because this is around trauma and stress. So make sure you're taking care of yourselves and get help and talk to people if you feel that it's overwhelming. And the last piece is the movement. Really be clear about the movement that you're trying to create, because I always say confusion and advocacy is death. And when we're talking about gun violence, that is real. So stay encouraged, stay blessed. I am running to represent you and work hard for you, and I will do everything I can to support you, in and out of Congress. Thank you.
It sounds almost condescending to say I'm proud of the students, and yet I am. And I fully support you. But you have to understand, and I think others have already said this, you have to take the long view. The civil rights movement back in the 60s, it was the students who are now some of the older, grayer people here, myself among them. But we remember that, and we see that fire in your eyes, and it's encouraging to us. And while I do believe that the older generations have failed you, There are those of us here who see the light as well as you do and want to march forward with you. So don't ever give up. Understand that you are empowered. Understand that there will be days where you feel like you're not making any progress. All I can say is just push forward even more. And together we will all get there. It's definitely a project that involves all of us, but you students are the future, and don't ever forget that.
Yes, I fully support the students. I am so incredibly impressed with all of you. I'll tell you, I was sitting at the March for Our Lives listening to just the wonderful speeches made by everyone, and someone leaned over and said, well, the good news is they're not old enough to run against you. And I couldn't agree more, because you are all so eloquent and so amazing at what you're doing. As I say, I've gone through several emotions over the course of the gun safety discussion in this country. I remember when Columbine happened and I was devastated and shocked. I remember when Sandy Hook happened and I was horrified. I had a kindergartner at the time. And then when Parkland happened, I just felt rage. I was so angry that we had not done more by now to protect our kids. That after all this time, when we see students from Columbine in their late 30s, that we still haven't passed good gun safety legislation that will keep our kids safe. And yet afterwards, when I went and heard the kids from Parkland speaking in Livingston, and then when I went and heard our students here in our district speaking, I have felt an incredible amount of hope. And yes, you have to be tenacious, and yes, you have to keep pushing this issue, but you are already motivating the next group of students who will come forward and do that. And I know that because shortly before the walkout, my daughter came up to me and she kind of casually said, oh, did you know I'm on the walkout committee at my school? And I said, no, I didn't know that. She's 12 in her middle school. And she said, yes. I went up to the principal and I told him that I really think we need to work on this walkout. And he said, well, why don't you join the committee to do that? And she did so. And I know that's because of all the work that you guys have been doing, and she's heard me talk about it and how engaged she was in your fight. So I can tell you that we have people that will continue the fight.
One of the privileges of my life is being a teacher. I was in business until I was 35, 36, and I got an opportunity to work with young people. And I think of myself as the teacher, but really I'm the student. I've learned so much from them over the years, so I'm not really surprised that students are behind this. They're the ones who inherit this world that we're getting. You guys have done a great job in doing this. I'm just so proud of everything you guys have done.
I don't think it's any secret that Martin and I are the only two Republicans here on this panel. I believe that an educated, informed, and engaged electorate is our nation's greatest hope. And that's what you are doing. You are bringing and inciting the democratic process. And quite honestly, that's why I accepted your invitation, because of your professionalism and your ability to organize. Extremely impressive. Thank you.
This will be the last question. The ninth question will be asked by